Of Russia's invasion, it does affect energy markets all across the globe. Here to discuss with us this issue further is energy security analyst Omid Shakri. Omid, thank you so much for being with us once again and finally here in the studio. How are you?
Thanks for having me, and hope to have a good discussion about this current topic.
Great. So to start off, let's get into this. Russia has cut gas supplies to Poland and Bulgaria, and the motive is really clear, and that's because it wants unfriendly countries to pay in rubles. What is your analysis on this latest situation?
Yeah, Russia many times use energy export as a weapon to gain more geopolitical benefit, and today's decision regarding halting natural gas flow to Bulgaria and Poland can be viewed in this regard. And last year EU and the global energy market faced huge energy crisis, and after that, by end of February, Russia invasion of Ukraine faced energy market with a huge geopolitical event that we saw that this geopolitical event faced many problems for energy consumer countries such as US, EU, and after that, when EU countries trying to use energy as to more pressure on Russia to Kremlin to be case war to solve the problem with the Ukraine. But as I mentioned, because EU has huge dependent on Russian energy resource, EU will not be able to use energy to stop Russian invasion of Ukraine. Regarding today's decision, and Russia will be able to play in energy as an international relation power in the coming days, in the coming years, due to EU high dependency of Russia energy resource. And about Poland and Bulgaria energy security, I have to say in the short term, this country's economy will be faced with huge energy security problem.
Now, getting into what you just said about the European countries, many European countries purchase Russian energy. And as we know, Europe is currently facing an energy crisis with price increases in several of the countries. So what could be the implications for Europe, both in the short and in the long term, if you could elaborate on that a little?
Yeah, in the short term, EU has no alternative, has to continue importing natural gas and oil from Russia. EU 2 weeks ago made a decision to stop coal import from the EU and planning to decrease of natural gas importing by the end of this year. I mean, gradually decrease of natural gas importing also has a plan to gradually decreasing oil import from Russia. But whereas we have a short supply in the market, no matter natural gas, LNG, and oil, it is not easy for every country in the EU, no matter how much dependency on Russia, to stop. In the one night they made a decision to stop importing. It's very hard. It's not impossible from the energy security perspective. But refer to your question, in the long term, if one EU wants to buy more LNG, natural gas, and oil, have to pay more to other resources, but it is very hard. EU has a problem with some Gulf countries. US has some problem with Saudi Arabia and UAE, And regarding EU energy security, the best chance for the EU at present to more focus on renewable energy, to more focus on energy transition process as well. But this process need more time and huge investment in energy infrastructure in R&D. And in the long term, EU has the best chance to start from today to more focus on renewable energy, to diversification of energy resource, more importing natural gas from the Azerbaijan, from the Shah Deniz 2, from the Qatar, LNG, from the US. Since the last December, US became world's largest energy supplier, and Qatar trying to increase LNG production capacity by 2027 about 40%. And also we saw some projects in the African countries, Algeria and Nigeria. All these countries will hold the potential to help the EU to gradually decrease dependency on Russia energy resources and to stop importing energy, in at least 1 decade ahead. That's it.
Indeed. So now let's get into a little bit of hypotheticals. Let's say that Russia halts gas supplies to Europe completely. in that case, you already did mention which other countries could provide energy to Europe. I mean, we've seen Iran and Qatar also step up, saying they could fulfill Europe's needs. But will Europe approach these countries for supplies? You did mention Azerbaijan and a few other countries, but also about Qatar and Iran. Do you think that the West could speak to these countries also?
Yeah, before answering your question, I have to mention about the effect of today's Kremlin decision on the halting natural gas to the Poland and Bulgaria. At present, Poland importing 25% of its demand for LNG from the U.S. U.S. hold the potential to double this volume by coming years, and importing 50% of the natural gas from the U.S. There is no alternative for it, and Poland has a problem. And Poland also has a own production about 25% of natural gas. In Bulgaria importing 90% of natural gas from Russia, but Bulgaria will start importing natural gas from the Azerbaijan, but it's just the half of amount of which imported from the Russia. To sum up, these countries has a real problem in summer and mainly in next winter. And referring to your question, Iran in the next decade will not be able to be natural gas supplier to the U.S. Why? Because the lack of investment. And last week, Iran Minister of Oil said that we have electricity problem due to lack of natural gas production in the coming months, and mainly in the summer. And also last winter and autumn, Iran faced the electricity cut and also natural gas flow due to lack of investment and the effect of current sanction. After that, for 4 decades after the revolution, Iran energy sector faced a lot of sanction via US, UN, and EU. And Qatar has the potential to supply more natural gas and LNG to the EU. Not in short term, because Qatar sold majority of cargoes to East Asia, China, South Korea, and Japan. But in the 2 or 3 years, because has a huge investment to double production capacity by coming. 3 years later, in 4 years later, Qatar will be supplying more. But regarding Iran, at least Iran needs decades to more investment to supply own domestic, and in the second phases maybe export to the EU. But today you cannot see any official statement from the EU official that they are interested to import natural gas from Iran.
So it still seems like there's a long time before Iran could ever be brought into the fold. So my last question, Mr. Shokri, ever since this war started, Turkey has, of course, played a very active role, a very key role in trying to mitigate this crisis here. So how important can Turkey be as an energy hub for Europe?
At present, Turkey is an energy transit center. It's a reality. And Turkey has also potential to be energy hub in the coming decades. Turkey needs more investment in energy infrastructure, LNG and natural gas storage facility, and also needs to liberalization of energy market. If Turkey will be able to do an important principle, in the next decade, maybe 2 decades later, Turkey will be able to be energy hub. Turkey has a plan to import natural gas from Iraqi Kurdistan, and maybe more import from the Iran, but as I mentioned in the previous question, Iran has a problem, and also more natural gas from the Central Asia, from the Caucasus, from the Caspian, and also maybe more LNG from the US. Turkey is the second major buyer of the US LNG, and also from the Qatar and Algeria. All of options could help the Turkey to more sufficient, from a diversification energy resource, and also Turkey holds a good potential in renewable energy. We have to focus on it, and altogether helps Turkey to be focused on own energy security, and in the midterm will be able to play a role in regional energy security, EU energy security, and also be energy hub in the next decade.
Indeed, for Turkey, this will be a time to prove itself as a key energy hub. Omid Shokri, thank you so much for being with us. It's always a pleasure talking to you and having you here in studio. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.